Hey everybody, and welcome back to Investment Honey, where we talk about various crypto projects. Before we begin, as always, a couple of reminders to let you know that I'm not your financial advisor and I never provide any investment advice on the channel. With that being said, hope everybody enjoyed the holidays if you are one to celebrate Christmas. Sorry, this is a later edition of the Dexscreener series. I did put a reminder out, just a broadcast to the community that I wasn't going to be able to get one out this morning, which is why the video is coming out much later on in the day. So I had to go ahead and do some traveling to go ahead and get back home. You know how that goes. Everybody traveling back and forth, during this holiday season. But with that being said, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the series, welcome, certainly welcome. Not sure what brought you here, whether it was through YouTube search, a related video or somebody, letting you know about the series, but we're glad to have you. And if you're somebody that's returning and has been keeping up with what's going on here, thank you so much for continuing to support the channel and continuing to follow the series. Now, with that being said, you guys can see we've got a lot going on here in the tab area. So that means we've got some review to get to. If you're new, just to go ahead and let you know, I always encourage the new guys, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, to make sure that you go back to the first video in this series to see what's going on, get some introductions out of the way, and to kind of see how things are going to flow, through each video in the series. And so we're going to go ahead and get to some review first, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the filters, and we're going to see if we got any new tokens to discover, as always, through the Dexscreener platform. So we're going to go ahead and look at Fusk. We haven't talked about Fusk, in a while since it made its big run, from the 100K area all the way to over 1 million, so obviously there was some heavy retracement on that particular token. So as you can see, and this was their high, basically around, almost, 1.4 million, something around there. And so the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we can see that there is still some buy pressure, here in the bottom lower, areas of the chart, so could be the start, of an uptrend, could be, right? So as always, when we're seeing, things like that, we always make use of these alerts, right? So here we go. I'm going to take a look at these, and obviously, haven't done anything with the alerts, in regards to Fusk, so I'm going to go ahead and obviously adjust the alert to go ahead and reflect, the current market cap. So here, because it's, if we take a look at this chart again, it looks like there is a small uptrend forming, so I think in this one, it makes sense to set not only an up alert, but definitely, a under alert, as well. Because again, we don't want this to kind of be one of those, oh, it looks like we're going up, and then we get faked out, and then there's just, somebody maybe that's been in heavy losses, here at this time in the chart. And then as you go ahead and start to see a bit more, of an uptrend, then somebody just goes ahead and decides to dump, and then we're looking at, lower market cap, on this one. So for this one, for me particularly, as I continue to evaluate what's going on here, I am interested, obviously in looking at some retracement, possibly because I think that somebody might be lurking, on this chart that may be looking, to go ahead and sell, but what they're waiting for is more buy pressure. So this one you can see, it triggered, it disabled, when it went under 250,000. That's obviously, when there was a lot more going on the chart, more buy pressure and so forth, more activity. So, but I've continued to keep this one on my radar, continue to keep this one in the alerts because, again, my my thought process on this one is it just went from bottom levels to over 1 million, and there's still buy pressure on the chart. So on the under here, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our new posted market cap at 285, and we're going to set this at I think it could go to maybe the 200 area, maybe. Again, I'm thinking that maybe there's somebody lurking there, but again, this is just my own thought process. So, I could be wrong, but this is the reason why we set these alerts. They give us these indicators that we can, utilize to, see how we want to proceed in any given token. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and set that. So you can see my under alert now is posted for 200,000 to trigger. And then on the up, it's not going to be a big deviation on this one. We're going to go ahead and adjust the posted market cap to 285K, and we're going to move this to, let's go 310 on this one. So like I said, not a big deviation, from the posted market cap. So here we go. So those are done, but I wanted to go ahead and put this one back on your radar just because I'm still continuing to look at this one because I think there's still a possibility, maybe, that this one could head back up. So that's just my thought process there. So we're going to close this one out, and then Aura, AI. This one's one that continuing to keep an eye on. Not anything big, in terms of big spikes, big sells, going on here. Everything kind of looks like it's still kind of staying in this middle ground kind of area, and we can see right here the start of a little bit of buys here. Maybe it's heading up, maybe not. Not really sure. But again, that's why we continue to go ahead and use the alerts. So here's the alert set on this one. Both of them were disabled, so that means both of them triggered. And these were set around 325 and 350, but the posted market cap initially was at 420K. So we can see we're still sitting, around the 346K mark, or at 346K. All right, so that's a little bit lower, than our posted market cap, when these alerts were set originally. So what we're going to do, we're going to also, let's take a look at the chart again. Okay, so I'm definitely interested in an under alert on this one. And we'll obviously, set the over as well. So on the under, here we are. We're going to go ahead and edit this because we want to edit our posted market cap. That's at 346K. All right, and let's see here. On the under, how far under do we want to go? I'm going to say, let's go to 300 just to kind of, stay in the ballpark of where we are, but to give me an indicator as to, what's going on with the chart. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to go to the over. Let's edit it. Not going to be a big deviation here either, so I think I'm going to go maybe to 365 just to see if there's going to be continued movement on this. So, and again, that's just what I'm doing. You guys can go ahead and do whatever you want as far as your own alerts, or you can copy the ones that I'm setting, but my mindset shifts from token to token and from chart to chart in terms of whether I set larger deviations or smaller deviations from the posted market cap, from which I'm setting the alert. So just, keep that in mind. If you're wondering, like, why doesn't he kind of, stay in a pattern in terms of, what alerts, I'm setting. Again, no two tokens are the same, no two charts are the same, so the mindset you can't follow a cookie cutter kind of pattern as you're looking at this stuff. You got to read it for yourself. And while I'm doing this, typically through the review, we don't go back into the Telegram channels because I think that just adds more time to the video. And then, we have less time to go ahead and look at the filters and go into the discovery portion, of the video. So I do that intentionally, not to go ahead and go into the Telegram channels during the review. So that's just something that you'll have to go ahead and do, as you're setting your alerts, or even as I set mine. Let's say that you decide to copy mine. I would certainly encourage you to go back into the Telegram channels to see what's going on, because that may lead you to adjust the alert on your own, after you do some additional investigation beyond whatever you're seeing content-wise, here in the video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this one out. And then this one's one that we talked about, on Christmas Day, right? So the reason why I bring this one up, even though it's basically, dead right now, is that we talked about this one. Let's see here. The alert was set at 404K. Okay, so at 404, that would have been, I don't know, somewhere in, and let's see here. Let's bring this out a bit. Okay, and I'm going to adjust this right here. So let's see. So that's on the 5-minute. So 404, where we would have been? We would have been somewhere around in this arena. So this is showing this is the 24th. This is showing this is the 25th. Okay, so December 25th, 2024. And if we were somewhere around, less than 420, that would have been right here, where a mouse is. It would have been before another run on the chart, so where did this go to? I mean, this went over, looks like, 1.2 million, so let's say that you decided to go ahead and copy the alert on this one. This one did make some moves, from the time that we posted or set the alert, for this particular token. And when we looked at this token, on Christmas Day, I mean, there was a lot of activity going on in terms of buy transactions and what was going on in the channel. So, and this is also, what led me to decide to set the alerts, because I did like all the activity and the interest, in this particular token. So, but what's the point, what we're doing here in the series? Obviously, to go ahead and try to get in and look, and find stuff early, before they decide to go ahead and pump or take off. And, obviously we were able to go ahead and, achieve that, here in this token, just as we've been able to in a number of other examples that I've highlighted, through the series so far. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this one out. I don't need this one anymore, just because at this point, as dead as it is, I don't really anticipate any kind of resurgence on this one. So we're going to go ahead and close out, the alerts on this one because we don't need it anymore. And I don't plan to revisit this one. But again, part of the review is we look at ones that have done well. We also look at ones that, basically wet the bed, after we set the alert, because it's not always about highlighting the stuff that does well, but also highlighting the stuff that doesn't. It gives you a much more balanced perspective in terms of what we're trying to do. That we're going to catch some that do well, but we're also going to catch some that don't. Okay. With that being said, we're going to close this out. Hold on, guys. I need to get a drink. I could feel that raspiness in my voice, so I knew I needed a drink of water. With that being said, ZK GPG, we've talked about this one, and this one, unfortunately, it's continued to retrace a bit. Nothing crazy. It looks like it's just been kind of like a steady decline. We see some buys, but we continue to see the sells. But when we saw this one originally, I didn't like I didn't like the chart as a person that's looking to maybe look for an entry, right? But if you got in, in these bottom levels, obviously you're loving the chart, because when we looked at it, it was basically just a high spike and it just kind of sat around in this area. And I told you the first time that we saw this one that I thought that this chart was going to retrace. Now, the question here is it going to retrace further? That's the big question, on the board, right? We don't know. But again, let's say that you've been following this one with me, since we talked about this, some days ago, and you're still, maybe considering an entry. Well, obviously, let's say you were impatient and decided to get in here. Well, obviously, you're still, you're in a loss, right? But maybe you were a bit patient and maybe you're still looking at this one, considering, doing something. As I've mentioned before, you could always go ahead and make, really tiny buy. And you could use Maestro. Like I said, the link is in the description because that's the bot that I go ahead and I recommend and utilize myself, for trading activities. But you could, create you could do a buy, a dip buy, what's called a dip buy, in Maestro, which basically once you get a buy on the board, and let's say it's $2, okay, you can set that, for whatever market cap you want it to be, for it to make that next buy. And that buy could be a larger buy. That buy could be whatever size you want it to be, should you decide to go ahead and do that. But again, it basically allows you the opportunity to let the bot start watching, what's going on in the chart. So like I said, you could have been, somebody that saw this, at some earlier time when I talked about it and decided to go ahead and get in here with a small buy, assuming that you followed, what I typically said that, if it was me, that's what I would do. And, then if it, continued to go ahead and dip even further, then obviously the bot would trigger, for whatever threshold you set it at, and then make your next buy, but if it continued to, retrace, you could go ahead and continue to do that if you feel like this is a chart that may go up. Now, do I think that this may start to head back up at some point? I think it's a possibility that it could decide to head back up at some point. You got to consider, we're talking about going back here to the 18th, and there hasn't really been any massive dump on this chart. So we're talking at this point, we're basically 9 days in, right? And it hasn't completely dumped. So what does that tell me? Just in my own experience, there is some level of conviction, by holders, by the community, as far as this token is concerned. So when I see stuff like that, it's not a guarantee that it's going to head back up. But I am a bit more optimistic that it might head back up. So again, that's just my 2 cents in terms of what I'm sharing with you, as reflected by my own experience and my own perspective in terms of what I'm seeing on the chart. But with the caveat that I don't know for sure. I can't tell you with any guarantee that it's going to go ahead and do that. If I could do that, I'd be a millionaire, and I'm certainly not that. So we don't, and nobody knows. But when you see that it's basically kind of a slow burn like this, in terms of the retracement, I'm more inclined to think that at some point this is going to turn around. But we just don't know when. And again, there's no guarantee that it's going to. Again, it's just all best guess. So this could still dump, from here. People may just go ahead and decide to get impatient and just decide, fine, we're done with this and move on to other prospects. But yeah, I'm not one to lose hope, in this just yet, just because I don't really see any massive dumps on this yet. So with that being said, right now, both the alerts are disabled. Right now it's sitting at 326K. So I'm still going to go ahead and adjust not only the posted market cap, but the new alert for this one. So 326 is what we're going to write in here. And I'm going to set this at, 280K. I don't know if it's going to, go that low, but it's possible. I mean, we're only talking about another 40,000 from where it's at right now. So there we go. And here for the up alert, because obviously at some point this could turn itself around. Could, I don't know. We're going to adjust this, and we're going to move this to, let's say 360. 360 would be enough of an indicator to me that it could be, could be starting to shift directions, as far as this particular token is concerned. All right, so we're going to close this one out. So there we go. And RAID, this is one that we looked at, I don't know, sometime maybe a couple of days ago. So the alert here is letting us know that we saw this at 153. Okay, so this was back, a day ago. So I believe, was it yesterday or the day before? I'm inclined to believe that I talked about this on Christmas Day. So, but either way, even if I talked about it the Christmas Day or the day before, the fact remains this still moved beyond whenever the video was done. Okay, so because we would have been talking about it around these areas. Okay, so it did go ahead and move up. So, I mean, there were gains to be made as far as this one's concerned. It retraced a bit, and now we can see maybe some evidence, of maybe it's deciding to head back up, which again, we just don't know. Can't go ahead and tell you based on what I'm seeing in the community because we're not going to go ahead and check that out while I'm doing this recording. But you are certainly welcome to, especially if you decide to go ahead and follow the alert that was set on this one. So, as far as the alerts are concerned, we're 161. I think, this one's fine to go ahead and reset it, as far as the going under 110 and then going over 190. Yep, I think that one's fine too. And we'll go ahead and we'll make an adjustment, to the posted market cap just to go ahead and be, accurate in terms of when we set the new alerts. Okay, so there we go. And we're going back to 161. So there we go. All right, so we're going to close this one out as well. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up 2025 is because I mentioned to you guys that this was one that I've been watching. And so it was like down in these bottom areas. And we're talking like, 13, 14, 15K. Okay. And then I think when I showed you guys the video, I think it was sitting around 40K. And obviously, what has it done? It's continued to go ahead and move up from there. And it's touched, essentially 90K. So this has been a good one that if anybody decided to go ahead and follow the alert on this, and not just the recent alert that I talked about a couple of days ago, but the original one, because the original one, obviously it made some gains. I think it did a 2x, from the time that I talked about it. And then obviously, after that, it just pretty much dumped. Now, the thing you have to consider in regards to some of these, holiday kind of tokens, if a team decides to go ahead and post a token like weeks before the holiday, yes, it's going to typically, and I'm not going to go ahead and say this is a hardline rule, okay? But typically in my experience, it'll go ahead and it'll see a rush of buys, okay? So it'll hit an all-time high, and then it'll dump, okay? And then let's say that the team doesn't completely abandon the token and the community doesn't completely abandon the token. As we get closer to the holidays, then there's a chance that you might start to see, a resurgence, just like you're seeing here. They had their initial, good launch, here. We can see that, here. Let me go ahead and move this down a bit so you can kind of see that. So you see that strong, that strong launch, retracement, you get some buy and sells here. Big, big, buys coming in, gets to another high, on the chart, right? And then after that, it just completely dumps, right? You see some buys return, but then after that, it's just continued retracement. Okay. And then it just kind of stays and you get these highs and lows in terms of, buys and sells, on the chart. And then where are we now? And like I said before, now that Christmas is over with, where are people rolling their money into? They're rolling their money into the new year kind of tokens. Okay. That's going to be where more people's attention is going to be rolling into. Okay. So you're going to start to see money flow into, stuff that's going to be talking about the new year, those kind of tokens. All right. And that's evidenced, right here. Right. So like I said, if you've gone ahead and decided to, throw something in regards to the last video, if you followed that alert, obviously there would have been gains because even though you see some sells here, we're still higher than where we were when I talked about it on the video. And then I showed you that I had made an alert at this one, I think at like 17K. Okay. So obviously 17K to 85, 90K, obviously that's pretty decent gains, right? So, and again, that highlights another example of what we're doing here in the series, that we find this stuff early and then we set our alerts, and it gives us some idea informationally in terms of, what do we want to do in terms of making any kind of informed decision on taking a possible entry. Okay. So, and we're not relying, on some other influencer with a massive community to go ahead and show it, and then obviously a bunch of people have already bought into it and your entry is just high, so high it doesn't even make any sense. All right. So with that being said, I'm just highlighting this one because, again, it makes sense to highlight it, that obviously there have been some gains, since the last video that I did on 2025X. Okay, so as far as the alerts concerned, right now we're sitting, at 86K, essentially, yeah. So do I want to set an under alert? Sure, we can go ahead and do that because we didn't set one before because obviously the market cap was so low. So we're going to set one now. And, let's say maybe you're just looking at this token, right now, and you're curious about possibly taking an entry. You got two options, right? If it was me and I was just finding this token right now, I might go ahead and, again, I've mentioned this before in other videos, throw in, maybe $5. Okay. And then I would go ahead and set, now that the bot's tracking it, now that Maestro bot is tracking it, and again, that link's in the description. Now that the bot is tracking it, I can go ahead and I can set that buy dip alert, buy, or option on the bot. Okay. And then all I have to do is go ahead and set the trigger, or the threshold. And that threshold for me might be, I don't know, 60K. Okay. Because obviously we've seen that there have been some buys, but we've also seen that there have been some sells. So maybe I might set it at 60K. And when it hits that threshold, then it'll trigger whatever I've set the bot to go ahead and buy, at that threshold. Now, I'm not saying this is going to go down to 60K. I don't know, but I'm just giving you an example of what you could do and what I would do if it was me. Okay. But with that being said, this one, like I said, we're setting an under alert. So let's make this 65K. All right. And then 86K is going to be our new posted market cap, for this one. Here, we're going to go ahead and adjust this now. Okay. Because it's no longer, and I don't think it's going back to 17, anytime soon. Not until after the holidays. But again, we don't know where this is going to go. So setting this at 86. And for the over, I don't know, let me know when it gets to 110. Okay, so let's go and let's do that. Okay, so the alerts have already been set on that one, so we're going to go ahead and close out. And then Claude, this one continues to be an interesting one to me. Obviously we set an early, alert for this one. It touched, almost 800K. So that was about here. And then obviously, we were wondering where it was going to go. A lot of retracement since then, but obviously we can see, some spikes, some interest, continued interest, in this token. Even here, we still get, a little bit of, buy spike in here, and then there's some sells and retracement. But even at this bottom level, okay, it did what? Still headed back, head back up. Okay. And then we get this retracement here, and then we get a strong interest, buys, here. So again, this one continues to be of interest to me, but we can see here, we had this strong launch. We can see here another peak here. Is it possible for it to go ahead and do that again? Again, possible, but it takes some work. Not saying that it can't happen, but you don't see a lot of tokens continue to make those runs over and over and over again. But like I said, there are outliers, there are exceptions, to saying that. So right now we're sitting at 311, on the market cap. So the posted market cap, this was created, 6 days ago, last trigger 2 days ago. And you can see this one created 12 days ago, last trigger 5 days ago. So I really haven't done much, with these alerts on this particular one, other than just, continue to, check in on the chart from time to time. So we're going to edit both of these. All right. Since we're at 311, we need to go ahead and make this 311. And remember, on these alerts, it's fluid, guys, so you're going to, as they trigger, you got to come back in, you got to make whatever adjustments you want to make, so this is a fluid process, an ongoing process with respect to the alerts. So 311, and this is the under. So I'm actually going to set this at 250 because I just think that there's still some spiky kind of activity in regards to the buys, and same, as far as the sells are concerned. I don't know if it's going to touch 250 again, but I'm setting it for 250 anyway. So, and then for this one, which is going to be our over, I don't really need this one to go much further than where it is, for me personally. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we're at 311, so we're going to set this at 330K. Okay, so we're good there. And that's going to do it for Claude. Now, Purple Doge continues to be one of interest to me just because we're talking this one launched on the 12th, right? And it went to really low levels. We're talking the 20K area. And obviously, what did it do? It ran up, to over almost 400K, from 20K, which is amazing, right? Heavy retracement, that's to be expected anytime you see a chart, a run like that on a chart. And then obviously it still fell back down to these levels. But as I mentioned in a recent video, this low on this chart right now is still higher than its previous low. Okay. So again, I still believe there's conviction based on what I'm seeing in terms of the chart, and what it's showing me. I haven't been in the community for Purple Doge in a while, but I would guess that people will have some conviction as far as this one's concerned, because this easily could have dumped, at this point, and it hasn't. It's just, especially when you're talking about a red candle where people get nervous about that, okay, where it's just kind of hanging there. It hasn't dumped, so that to me, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it does, leave me feeling encouraged about where this chart could go, okay? So again, as always, going to preface, it's a possibility that it could head back up, but again, it's always a possibility that it could go down, so, but I do like what I'm seeing personally, as far as I'm concerned, and what I'm seeing on the chart, so that's why I continue to keep an eye, on this particular token. Now, the under alert is still active on this one at 60K. I still think, that makes sense to me. So, and the only thing that needs to really be changed on this one is the posted market cap, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. So there we go. And then on the over, let's go ahead and set this one at, we're 113. Let's set it at 135. Let's see here. And then here, 113. So there we go. We've got our alerts are active again now. And so we'll just wait to see what they do as far as, getting, triggering. Here, this one we talked about, that I didn't talk about this on a video, in terms of discovery, looking through, going through the filters and so forth, but I just found this one on my own. And I thought the meme, was pretty decent. I liked what they were doing in the community, but this one just completely wet the bed, so I don't know if this is going to come back. It's really, there's not a lot of activity going on in the chat at all. I really kind of I feel like this one's a dead one, but I also am super curious. It's just one of those where I really like the meme. And so I am actually myself, personally, I'm keeping an eye, on this one. So here on video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, an over alert. I don't really care about setting an under alert on this one because it's already sitting at 21K. Okay, but for the over alert on this one, and this one could be one that kind of just sits, for a while. I mean, we've seen tokens that have sat, for a month before there was some catalyst, where there were just, automatically some interest that revitalized the token. But for this one, I'm actually just going to go ahead and set this one at, like, I don't know, 35K and see what it does. I may check in on this one, every couple of days, just to go ahead and see if anything's going on. If it continues to go ahead and go down, then I'll go ahead and come back in and adjust, adjust the posted market cap note. If it gets too low, where it's just like, hey, there's just no hope. And some of you may feel like, it's looking pretty ugly for this one, which I would absolutely agree. The chart looks ugly, okay? But it doesn't mean that it's done, okay? Because like I said, we've all seen charts, where, at least I think anybody's been in crypto for any, decent amount of time, they've seen charts just kind of, spike up out of nowhere for no apparent reason. People tend to follow buys, right? So once you see that there's some buys starting to come in on a chart, all of a sudden, you don't even know what's going on. You're just deciding to, buy in because you see that there's volume coming back, to a chart that really had no volume. So for me personally, oops, and I did this wrong. You guys probably wonder, like, what is he doing? The posted market cap is 21K. All right, so I want to set this at 35. Sorry, this is what happens. Sometimes I talk and I'm not paying attention. Okay, so here we go. Set this one. This one's active now. And again, this is one of those Hail Marys, so it might do something, it might not. But here's the thing. Setting alert doesn't cost you anything, okay? It's an alert. You set it and you forget it, okay? And if it triggers, you get a notification and then that brings you back. But it takes you 2 seconds to go ahead and set an alert, on something that might actually do something in the future. So, I mean, what's the harm, right? So there we go. We're leaving this one alone. And here, Thera, obviously this one, we posted, or we saw this one like down in here. It made a run for it, and so it's just kind of been hanging around, since. So this one continues to be one that I continue to go ahead and watch and monitor. So for this one, right now we're sitting at 498. We created this one a day ago at 388, and you can see this one triggered right here because it went over the 400K mark. So on the, let's see here, let me take a look at this again. So I'm actually going to go, I'm going to set an under alert, and let me see here. So we're at 498. So here we go, 498K. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to set this at, I'm going to set the deviation kind of decently from this one. So 425 is what we're going to set it at. And so that one is active, okay? And then on the over, we'll set this at like, we're not going to make a large deviation from here. We'll set it at like, 515. 515K, there we go. And here we've got that. So there we go. Good to go. Okay, let's click save. So that's going to do it for the review portion of this. Going to go ahead and pause this for a moment, and then I'll come back, and then we'll get into the discovery. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go into trying to discover some stuff. So we're going to adjust, our configuration here. Again, if you're new, you can see price, age, transactions, volume makers, the minutes, and liquidity and market cap. So I like to remove some of this stuff, just so I can focus on what I want to focus on. So that's what we're going to do here. So price, age, I keep transactions, volume makers. I don't really care about any of that stuff. I like to keep these 5 minute, 1 hour, 6 hour, and 24 hour. I don't really do anything with liquidity because we always keep liquidity at 1,000. I don't ever touch that. You'll find in all the videos that I do. So we're going to click apply. So there we can see, I'm just focusing on the age, 5 minute, 1 hour, 6 hour, 24 hour, and the market cap. Always go ahead and tick the 24 hour. Okay. So we're going to go back into our filters now. And here we're going to focus on Solana. So let's do that. And this will be Radium. We're going to save it. Liquidity, like I said, we're not touching it. Market cap. And for anybody that's maybe this is the first time you're hearing me talk on video, if I'm talking kind of fast, and I get it, I am a little faster today than normally. But with that being the case, that's the benefit of the video, right? You can always decide to go back. You can adjust, or not adjust, but you can always review what I'm talking about, just in case, going too quick, for you, in your first run through, okay, of the content here. So on the market cap here, we always start at a standard 50,000 because my feeling is if it can't make 50,000, it's probably not something I'm interested in looking at in the first place. So, and we're going to let's go to 500,000 on this one since we're focusing on one chain. Sometimes when we're focusing on two chains, I'll go ahead and I'll adjust the market cap to be a lower market cap just because we're more likely to go ahead and get more tokens focusing on two different chains. But with one chain, we can go ahead and, we can stand to at least go out to the 500K mark and we can see what we get and, go from there. So the pair age on this one, we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at a 7 hour range, to, I don't know, let's go, 25 hours. Okay. So there we go. And then we're going to focus on the 24-hour chains being at least 10%. All right. So there we go. And here, since we've got this organized, or going from the highest, gain in 24 hours to the lowest. And again, we wouldn't see anything lower than 10%, so you can see that right there. Then we're going to go ahead and, start to dig into, what tokens have been, sent to us or have been are showing up, based on the filters that we set, in the filter section here. Okay. So, and remember, any of these question marks, we are avoiding these because those suckers, are definitely, more than likely going to be scams. Okay. I'll always go ahead and open up a couple of them for you just to go ahead and show you what I mean. We're probably, okay, so this one's freezable, okay, which means they can stop you from trading, okay, so that's obviously one we want to avoid. And this one's freezable too, so again, typically when they've got these question mark and this empty box here, no picture for us to see, it typically means it's probably a token we don't want to look at. So we're going to go ahead and open up Flush, believe 2025 is yours, so obviously this is a New Year's token. This one here, no on Solana, and Narwhal Fart Dust. Let's see. And if you're new and you're wondering like, what's this mean? Like this thunderbolt and a number beside it, and the numbers change. It just means that they've paid to boost their token. Okay, so it's getting more exposure. So you got boosted tokens, you got the non-boosted tokens. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean that boosting is going to go ahead and be like, oh, this is a token that makes more sense for me to take a look at. There are some boosted tokens that don't do anything, okay? And then there are in comparison to non-boosted tokens that actually, like shoot up through the roof, as far as their market cap is concerned. So don't look at it like you're placing more weight on those that have the Thunderbolt and they're boosted, as opposed to them being more important than other tokens that aren't boosted. So I've never mentioned anything about that, since I've started this series, but I'm just highlighting it for you in this video, since it just kind of came to mind as I was, going through these tokens, that's all it is. They, the team or whoever's running the token decided to pay some additional money to get the token more exposure, through the boost campaign. But like I said, I found that sometimes boosts help and sometimes they don't. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to take a quick look, at the chart, and then we're also going to, take a quick look to see, make sure that they have a Telegram at minimum in terms of the socials. Okay, so this one does believe. Okay, so this is the New Year's token. All right, so this one, okay, so we got a Telegram here, and this one, not really digging this chart, but we'll take a look at it anyway. All right, so there's a Telegram, and then Noah. Okay, so we. Yeah, all right, so this one looks okay. Let's see here. What's the 15-minute look like? So it really sat at the bottom levels before it started to move. Be curious to see what's going on in that Telegram channel. All right, and this was Narwhal, the fart dust token. So, okay, not really sure what's up with the farting meta these days, but either way, we'll have a look at it, regardless. So, okay, so all of them had, Telegrams. So we're going to go ahead and adjust this a bit, and we're going to move this down. There we go. All right, so let's see what's going on in the Telegram. Hold on, guys, real quick. All right, guys, sorry about that. So let's go ahead, let's jump into the community, see what's going on there. I'm going to click that. Okay, so here we go. We got a portal. All right, so we're going to clear everything else out from here just so we can start off fresh. Okay, so here's the link. Joining the community, just under 1,000 members. Okay, so when's the last buy on this one? Curious about that. Remember, that's one of the first things I like to take a look at, so, and I don't really see any buys. It's 8:29. Okay, that's just a couple of minutes, so let's see here. Any buys, okay, there we go. So 8:28, just a few minutes ago. So that still stays within, my 10-minute window where I want to see, I want to see at least one buy within a 10-minute, window. All right, so we're still getting some messages coming in, even, for as little bit of time as we spent, here in their channel. So here, checking out the pinned messages, they got a voice message, as well, which is interesting. I'm not going to play that. So we got trending going on, okay, and then here, okay, so that's trending, another trending update, plus they're also doing some rating, so okay, so there's some good things going on, so that's positive. Right, and so the chart pattern on this one looks pretty decent too. I think it'd be worthwhile to go ahead and set some alerts on this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're sitting right now, this is 191, this one says 189, so we're going to set it at 189 after we go ahead and make sure we're on market cap. So 189K, and for the over alert, I don't know, let's set not a large deviation to, actually I think it will be 220, okay, so that's that for that one, and then we'll set an under. So this is at 189K on the posted and under. We're going to set this at 125 because I think since we haven't really seen any big dumps on this chart, I think one could be coming. All right. So, but again, it's just all possibilities. We don't know. So we're going to close this one out and then believe this one already looks like it's no, this was the big run, right? So we don't know if we're going to see another one on this one. So, but it kind of hung in there, for a while. And then obviously anybody that was patient decided to hang in there with it. Since they launched, obviously they were able to, experience, what it was like to actually kind of break out, on this particular chart, So if we're sitting at 226K right now, okay, so, okay, 226. So this one looks like it, touched over 700, almost 800K on this one. So pretty decent run, for this one. And I don't know if it's possible for it to do it again. I mean, on the 1 hour, we got almost a 40% retracement. But anytime you go ahead and you see, a pretty decent run on the chart, it's going to be accompanied, by retracement. That's just a given. So we're at 222. First thing we're going to do, let's check out the Telegram. Okay, so here we are. All right, so we get a portal. So we're jumping in, and we got almost 600 people here. Okay, so we got some rating going on. Got a VC going. I like to see VCs. Okay, and last buy was at 833. That was just right now. Okay, so this is actually, like I mentioned before, this is a New Year's token. So I think it's possible this one could still, continue to make some moves, but I don't know. We don't know for sure, right? So I don't want to go ahead and say that definitively, and you guys will never hear me say that definitively, that a token's going to go up, because I don't know. But yeah, we got the rating going on. You got the VC going on. So I like the activity here. We got 12 messages, since we've been in here. So, and I don't necessarily need to see a whole lot, in terms of deciding to go ahead and, follow a token or not. That's just my own, experience, and just, having seen a lot of different communities, a lot of different charts. But for you, somebody maybe that may be newer to this, obviously I would encourage you to definitely spend some time getting comfortable, with looking at charts and, what looks like a healthy chart, what doesn't, and so forth. And I'll try to help you along the way, in terms of what I cover here in this series as well. You'll just kind of know, just by the stuff that I say, whether it's ugly, whether it's not, whether it looks decent, whether it looks like it's got some potential, those kind of things. So watch out for those kind of, that kind of verbiage, as I'm talking about different charts, in what I am conveying, informationally, through the videos. So as far as the alerts are concerned, this is sitting at 260. No. So the numbers are not lining up on this one. So let's see here. Actually, yeah, it's 265. So I would imagine that this will catch up to this. So we're going to actually set that alert at 264, or actually 266. So there we go, 266K. Actually, I should have gone to market cap first. Goes over, we're going to set this at 300K. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there we go. And for the under, okay, we're going to go ahead and set another one. This is 266 for the posted market cap. And for the under, let's set it at 200. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Alerts have been set. We're going to leave this one alone. So yeah, it did catch up, right? So and I've mentioned this, especially if you're new, I've mentioned this several times. There is a delay between this and what shows up the tab, so don't always take this as an absolute, because again, a lot of times there's a delay. The tab doesn't always line up in terms of what you're seeing here. But this one's pretty straightforward, 0.002581, you're, 225, right? Or not 225, but 259. And then, here you're looking at 258, so like I said, it'll catch up, but for some reason for Dexscreener, there's always been a delay. Can't explain why. And I would imagine they know this. I don't know why they wouldn't fix it. So looking at next 25. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this one. I don't really care for the chart pattern on this one, to be honest with you, but we'll take a look at what's going on in the community anyway, just to see out of sheer curiosity. So here we go. We got a portal. Great. And I don't know what this next token is. I have no idea. A little over 100 members, so a small community on this one. But we are, still getting buys, because the last buy was at 836, which was just a minute ago. No pinned messages, which I don't really care to see, and I don't see anything going on in terms of rating. Obviously, that's one of the things you would typically see, in terms of anybody coming in and right away, because they want people to engage with those raids. So this is likely going to be one. And even looking at the chart, I would have told you, probably not one I'd want to follow, so we're going to go ahead and close this one out. We're going to take a look at Noah. This is one that's kind of interesting to me. So we got green across the boards over here. We're 328, in terms of the market cap. Let's see what's going on in the channel. So Noah, I guess it's a dog, is what I'm guessing, based on the image right away. So 920 people in the group. And we've got buys still coming in, 837. That's the time on my clock. And we got almost 30 participants in a VC. All good things that I like to see in terms of, any kind of assessment concerning the channel. And we got some pinned messages, as well. So I like what I'm seeing as far as this one's concerned. I don't really need to go and see much more, as far as the channel is concerned. So this is definitely one I want to set some alerts on. But you guys already know how I feel about this kind of pattern on the chart. I'm not interested, in looking at an entry right here if it's me. Okay. Now, obviously, if you stuck with this one, from the launch, and it just kind of sat at bottom levels, and all of a sudden it just started taking off, obviously you're in profit. I still believe that people that may not have sold, that were here at these bottom levels, are still waiting for more buy pressure before they go ahead and they offload some of their tokens. And either they're going to go ahead and do it sensibly, or they're not. If they do it sensibly, they're going to offload a little bit at a time. If they don't do it sensibly, they're going to dump their whole bag. So, but that's what I'm waiting for. If I'm looking at this, for an entry, if I'm looking at it for an entry, I'm absolutely going to go ahead and set an alert, but I'm setting an alert that's going to be on an under. Okay. So here we go on the under. and we're at 328. So I'm looking at something like, if it's me, I'd be looking more like a 250, entry if I was going to go and jump into this thing. So 328. And some of you guys, get kind of nervous, like, oh man, I might miss the opportunity. What if it keeps going up? Look, any chart that's ever been created in crypto, they all go up and they all come back down. Okay. So understand, you have two options here if it's me looking at this. So, and if I were to go ahead and, be concerned, about losing a better entry, maybe concerned that it might continue to go up, what would I do? Like I said, I've said this plenty of times, throw in a few bucks. Okay. $3, $4, $5, maybe even $2, whatever you want. Okay. If you choose to go in, but like I said, if it's me, that's what I would do. And then I'd go ahead and I'd set that buy dip alert in Maestro. And that way I can go ahead and close this out. I don't have to worry about the alerts. The bot and Dexscreener is watching the chart for me. And so when it hits that threshold, if it hits that threshold, then it goes ahead and makes the buy. Now, the tricky thing there is, do you think it's going to still continue to go up? Now, I've seen a number of different elements going on already in that channel. You got almost 30 people in a VC, which again, to accomplish that, and it's only 30 people, but it's 30 people still an accomplishment in a VC, especially when you're looking at a token that really hasn't even been alive that long. Okay. So, or actually, you're looking at one that's been alive for 12 hours. So again, to have almost 30 people in a VC and it's sitting at over 10 hours. Yeah, I think that's pretty decent in my personal opinion. So, and you continue to see buying activity, so at some point, like I said, as much as we all love to see green on a chart, it can't stay this way, so at some point, somebody's going to sell. And though it may be a little bit of sales or it may be sales in volume, but this chart is not going to stay in this pattern. It just can't, because that's not something that happens in crypto. So it's going to come down, and the question is, what's going to be the strategy? So like I said, I'd have two options. One, I could go ahead and just, throw in a really, really tiny buy at this point, and then just go ahead and wait till it comes back down. And then I could go ahead and make either another small buy, medium-sized buy, or maybe just go ahead and, make a large, buy of conviction. If I think that, hey, there's a chance the chart's going to continue to go ahead and go up. But, based on what I'm seeing, currently in the community, I like what I'm seeing. But also, as a caveat, understand, we saw that. What was the token that we saw the other day? Obviously, we saw that in the USD token that I talked about earlier in the review, where they had a lot going on. You can see a lot going on in a token. And then, once they've had their run, everybody just decides to go ahead and dump. And then all of a sudden, it's back to being a quiet channel again. So, it's all best guess, but you pay attention to things that you see, and you make an informed decision based on, everything that you looked at. We looked at the chart. We looked at the buy transactions. You got bubble maps you can also go ahead and take a look at. You look at what's going on in the community. Are they doing rating? Do they have VCs? Are they doing trending? What are they doing? All these things work into the mindset in terms of how do you proceed in terms of making a buy. And all of it is outside of emotional trading. One of the things I always tell you, try to advocate is, do not go ahead and get into investing in tokens. If you're basing what you do off of hype and who's promoting what, that's just nonsense to me. Everything needs to be made off of what you see and making and looking at all kinds of different elements of what's going on with that token to make an informed decision as far as what you decide to do. And that's how, if it's me, that's how I'm going to operate. So you can decide to go ahead and do it my way or do it, however, which way you want. But the whole point of the series is I want to go ahead and share with you my own methodology, my mindset, and kind of how I work through, what I decide to do when I look at a token. And I can tell you this much. It is not through emotions or FOMOing in to anything. Okay, so we're going to move on from this one. I think we already we set our alert. Okay, so we're going to move on. And then we got Narwhal right here. Okay, so we got some minuses, here in this informational area, some small ones, on the 5 minute, the 1 hour. And, this 289% on the 24 hour, that's going to be more about what went on here. Okay, so let's take a look, here in the Telegram real quick. And, okay, so it doesn't look like we got a portal on this one. We don't. Okay, so this is the channel. Okay, so you just go ahead and click join here. I'm not going to do that, but either way, that's what you do. Okay, so the raid here, so they got some activity going on from the community as far as the rating is concerned. But I don't see anything going on as far as like trending. So Okay, wait a minute. Maybe I missed that. Let's go back up. I might have moved away too quickly. Okay, so what's this? So this is saying this is a weird trending thing. I've never seen a trending that looks like this. So I can't even speak on that. So I don't know if that's actual trending or not. I have no idea. But we don't see any additional activity since we've been in here yet, so I would want to see some activity. And as far as the last buy is concerned, so I've got 8:44 on my clock, so this is 8:21. So the last buy was 20 minutes ago. This is when I would go ahead and skip because, I tend to stand firm in regards to my 10-minute window. And that's just my own standard, personally, that I set in terms of anything that I'm looking at. So I'm not going to go ahead and set any alerts on this one. But again, if you're copying, what I'm doing in terms of tokens I'm looking at, through the series, you're welcome to go ahead and just, copy the name here, like I've mentioned to you guys before, and then go to the search bar, go ahead and paste it on in here. All right. And then just go ahead and match up the market cap. So this one's at 87, this one's at 88, and this is at 87, so then for this one, we'd want to be matching up, here -3% on the 1 hour. Okay, because you can see these two are close, but they're different. They're different tokens, so this is the one that we want, not this one. So keep that in mind, if you are trying to go ahead and match up, to tokens I'm talking about in the series and the videos that you're watching, in terms of how you search for the tokens, so you can set your alerts on your own as well. So, but with that being said, that's going to do it for us, as far as today's video is concerned. I'll go ahead and I'll get another one out in the morning, since I'm doing this one in the evening. But, as always, keeping up, with the consistency in the schedule, of making sure we get videos out, daily, or at least as much as possible. I'll have one out to you guys, in the morning. Now, the other thing you need to have on your radar is that since we've got the New Year's coming up, I know that I'll be traveling on the 30th, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go ahead and get, I may miss a couple of days of videos, going into the new year, just letting you guys, be aware. I don't know how I'm going to go ahead and get those videos done, just based on, where I know I'll be, so we'll see. I might be able to do it, I might not, but I'm putting that on your radar right now. And as always, we got plenty of people watching these videos, almost to the tune of almost 80%, of people looking at these videos are not subscribed yet, so if you're one of those individuals and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Because like I said, I put out a community broadcast this morning to let them know I wasn't going to be able to get a video out, this morning. And if you were subscribed, you'd know that. But if you were not subscribed, you wouldn't know. So again, it's one of the benefits of being subscribed, especially when I communicate to the community. So thanks again for watching as always. And with that being said, you guys enjoy your day. Take care. Bye-bye.